Notice here, the ball reached Nuno Mendes and then the winger, but look at Koundé. But notice here, the ball reached the fullback and then the midfielder, but look at Gerard Martin. This is one of the problems within the tactical battles of the match. I noticed the emergence of issues and gaps in both teams. However, we must analyze where each coach prevailed, what influence each had on the course of the game, which players delivered a high-level performance, and which ones had a very poor match. Welcome, my friends, to BePart Sports. In the first half, Barcelona attempted to build up from the back, while Paris Saint-Germain were positioned in this manner. Paris tried to direct play towards the left side by pushing the winger towards the centre-back, then shifting the ball to Barcelona's left defender and afterwards to Gerard Martin, as he was left unmarked. When Gerard Martin received the ball, the defensive behaviour was as follows. The striker pressed the second centre-back, the winger dropped to press Gerard Martin, Achraf Hakimi pushed forward, Vega dropped in as a third player, while the number 10 pressed Pedri. Here, Paris Saint-Germain were pressing while leaving a certain space exposed. Fabian Ruiz would then drop deeper to apply pressure on the lower side, preventing Barcelona from executing a switch of play to the opposite flank. Barcelona managed to switch play several times, but more often than not, there was a player intercepting the pass and closing the passing lanes for Barcelona at the moment of delivery, whether to Gerard Martin, Rashford, or even towards the opposite flank. That player was Vitinha, who was always slightly deeper, but acted as the link between the defensive and midfield lines, cutting out any pass on the right, the left, or even through the middle. For this reason, Paris Saint-Germain tried to shift play towards the flanks without applying direct pressure on the fullback upon receiving the ball. At that moment, the winger would step up to press the fullback, with the PSG fullback pushing forward and Vitinha intervening to support that side. Barcelona, meanwhile, decided to move to the alternative plan by switching play to the right-hand side. What happened next? We noticed that De Jong dropped between the centre-backs, and we saw Barcelona attempting to build up with 3 defenders at the back, with 2 fullbacks and Pedri ahead of them, while the number 10, Dani Olmo, dropped back to support Pedri. On the other hand, we see that Paris Saint-Germain left free players on the flanks to receive the ball, and then pass it into the centre-back. At that point, the striker stepped out to press the centre-back, forcing him to pass back to the goalkeeper. Afterwards, the team collectively forced the goalkeeper to play a long ball. And the reason for this is clear. Since Paris Saint-Germain have tall players such as Pacho and Zabarnyi, Barcelona started to shift their play towards the flanks. When the centre-back received the ball, he was forced to pass it wide to Koundé. And when Koundé received the ball, the winger stepped up to press, while De Jong and Pedri dropped back to support him, with PSG's midfielders and forwards pushing forward to cover the spaces. At this moment, the role of Vitinha becomes evident, as he is considered the main interceptor of passing lanes. Despite Koundé pushing forward, Vitinha succeeds in cutting off the passes between Koundé and Lamine Yamal, as well as between Koundé and Dani Olmo. Even if Dani Olmo drops deeper and Ferran Torres moves into his position, the ball remains blocked by Vitinha. For this reason, we saw Vitinha today intercepting a huge number of passes, particularly from the right and left sides, not only from central areas as he acted as a third defender within the high pressing line. On the other hand, Barcelona managed several times in the first half, once, twice, even 3 times, to execute a switch of play and break through Paris Saint-Germain's defence via long passes. We mentioned that the passes from central areas, in the moments when Pedri and De Jong were able to escape the press, were extremely important. Or even through Dani Olmo, to deliver long passes towards the left flank for Rashford, or towards the right for Lamine Yamal. So my friend, this is how Barcelona's first goal came about. The pass reached Lamine Yamal, who then laid it off to Ferran Torres. Here, notice how Ferran Torres dealt with the situation. Dribbling past the goalkeeper, deciding to shoot from an awkward body position and a tight angle, while being aware of the defender closing in behind him, before finally opting for the sliding finish. Had Ferran Torres chosen to pass the ball across, Rashford was running with him and could have scored to settle the match without any interference. Therefore, Ferran Torres' decision to shoot was tactically the wrong one, but at the same time, it gave Paris Saint-Germain the chance to intervene through Zabarnyi with the right timing and execution, an intervention that prevented PSG from collapsing in the first half. The problem, my friend, does not end there. The real issue lies in the fact that when Paris Saint-Germain played the ball to the fullback and the winger moved inside into the central area, and this is how Paris Saint-Germain's first goal came in the first half. When the fullback receives the ball, who presses him? Koundé. And who remains behind Koundé? The winger. And who is supposed to press the winger? Eric Garcia. The ball reached Nuno Mendes, and at that moment, the ball was played to the winger, while Nuno Mendes advanced behind Koundé. Who was supposed to press the winger at that point? Eric Garcia, who was late and did not get to the winger, allowing him to receive the ball. What happened after that? Nuno Mendes is very quick, Dani Olmo was late and could not block the run, and Koundé was also late in covering Nuno Mendes. The result? A player running through unpressured with Pau Cubarsí bearing full responsibility. The same issue applies on the opposite side. Nevertheless, you will hear that Eric Garcia and Pau Cubarsí had a strong match, but the truth is that the delay in pressing the wingers created dangerous gaps in favour of Paris Saint-Germain. But, my friend, to be completely honest, despite the fatal mistakes, Barcelona was still the better side in the first half. In the second half, many things changed in favour of Paris Saint-Germain. The team excelled in high pressing, in build-up play, and in ball circulation. We saw PSG able to defend with the press correctly and attack effectively, which gave them control over the course of the second half. The issue of Gerard Martin posed a clear weakness for PSG in terms of their build-up play. Why? Because PSG kept their two centre-backs, placed Vitinha between them, and held both full-backs deeper. What does PSG do in this situation? When the goalkeeper plays the ball to the centre-back, Vitinha moves up into the right centre corridor. Who presses the two centre-backs? Lamine Yamal and Rashford. And who presses Fabian Ruiz and his double-pivot partner? Ferran Torres and Dani Olmo. Here, Paris received the pass from the centre-back, and at the moment it is played to Achraf Hakimi, who steps out to press. The full-back, as Hansi Flick always does, full-back against full-back, while allowing limited space. What happens next? Vitinha plays the pass to Achraf Hakimi, and Pedri presses him. In contrast, Gerard Martin is late in closing down Hakimi, while the winger drops into PSG's Zone B to receive the pass from Hakimi. Taking advantage of the lack of marking from Gerard Martin, he makes the overlap behind him, receives the long pass, and drives forward. At this point, he delivers the cross into the penalty area, with PSG's striker positioned in a false offside trap. And this is how Paris Saint-Germain's second goal came. 6 times in the second half, PSG advanced either through Achraf Hakimi or when he received the ball from Vitinha. The winger moved along the flank, and Hakimi made the overlapping run behind Gerard Martin to receive the ball and return it to the winger. The winger repeated this movement along the line once, twice, 3 times throughout the match. It is therefore clear that the weakness lay with Gerard Martin, who failed to maintain the required defensive marking, which allowed dangerous spaces to open up for Paris Saint-Germain. But at the start of the second half, during the first 20 minutes, Lamine Yamal did not deliver what was required of him either defensively or offensively, and the same applies to Dani Olmo. We also noticed that Hansi Flick was late in making substitutions, and Rashford should not have been taken off because he delivered a very high-level performance in terms of dribbling, defensive contribution, and even creating danger. Today's match was Rashford's match. Personally, if I were in Hansi Flick's place, I would have preferred to take off Lamine Yamal. Even if a player like Rooney Barghi had come on, who has fewer capabilities, he would still be eager to take his chance and look for any way to prove himself. It is important to understand that a player may be among the best in the world, but his temperament can affect the entire team. We all saw Hansi Flick shouting at Lamine Yamal in the final minute after conceding the goal because he bore part of the responsibility as he was supposed to apply the high press properly. And we saw Ferran Torres on more than one occasion calling for Lamine Yamal to move closer and press with him. The same applies to Dani Olmo, who put in a great effort in tracking back, providing defensive support and even fulfilling box-to-box roles. It would have been better for Hansi Flick to keep Rashford on the left side, take off Dani Olmo, and bring on Lewandowski if necessary, either as a striker or by shifting Rashford or Ferran Torres into the number 10 role. The only 2 players who were consistently running on the pitch in the attacking line were Ferran Torres and Rashford. By losing one of them, Barcelona lost an important part of their attacking performance, and the substitution with Lewandowski did not deliver the required effort. For this reason, the substitutes were not as effective as they should have been, and even Hansi Flick's reading of the match was imprecise at certain moments, especially in the second half. He insisted on playing out from the back under PSG's high press in the same way, even though Eric Garcia and Pau Cubarsí, despite delivering a very strong match, lost many passes because Paris Saint-Germain kept applying the same pressing approach. It was necessary for Alejandro Balde to come on earlier, but why? In the second half, Luis Enrique tried to execute attacks down the right side with Koundé. The attempt succeeded only once, and the reason was the presence of Nuno Mendes, who had moved into a winger role, with Hernandez coming on in his place, while Koundé was able to stop the remaining attempts. It is clear that Luis Enrique was trying to face the team using the same approach. Once, twice, 3 times. And although the second goal came in a situation where Alejandro Balde should have been on the pitch instead of Gerard Martin, the idea and plan remained the same, and the team could not stop it. Why was the team unable to stop it? Because the full-back was expected to push forward and apply high pressure against a numerically superior side on the right flank, which made it impossible to deal with the situation effectively. The requirement was to keep the full-back fixed at the back, but despite that, the team was breached in the same way several times. Gerard Martin was unable to stop them, whereas Alejandro Balde, upon coming on, was able to engage more quickly and effectively on several occasions. But, my friend, the fundamental problem was the players' tactical awareness, being present to press the wingers, to prevent them from receiving and playing the ball in a way that allows the winger to advance with his back to goal. In the end, we saw that Achraf Hakimi or Nuno Mendes on the opposite side and even the wingers did not face effective resistance. The engagement was limited to the first defender and the second defender only. Who was the first defender? De Jong. And who was the second defender on the opposite side? Eric Garcia or Pau Cubarsí. The gap lay between the fullback and the centre-back in Barcelona. If the fullback moves forward to press the opposing fullback, he must also press the winger. Otherwise, space opens up, allowing the player to receive the ball unmarked, return the pass, and advance with his back to goal. This scenario repeated multiple times on both the right and left flanks, exposing a clear weakness that the team could not overcome because the players were unable to execute the intended tactical idea accurately. The solution was to play on the counter, relying on Lamine Yamal at the back to distribute the balls to the opposite side, either to Rashford or Ferran Torres, as happened in the first half. But Lamine Yamal was unable to drop back due to fatigue, and he should have been substituted in the second half. Ferran Torres delivered a historic performance in terms of attacking roles, and even in high pressing and defensive work. Yet against a team like Paris Saint-Germain or any top team, you do not always have many opportunities to exploit such chances. Dani Olmo faced the same challenge. Sometimes it is not about delivering the best individual performance in the match, but about securing the 3 points. Barcelona failed to achieve that today. This is my personal opinion. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and share the video. Greetings from the BePart Sports team.